Hello, everyone. Hope you are well on this Thursday afternoon. It is January the 9th. Have several things to cover with you today. We have supposedly a storm coming to us here in the deep south in North Georgia, among other places around us. So that's coming. I'll hit that for a minute here in a minute. Also, we have a continuing, ongoing catastrophe on the West Coast. I'll speak to that a little bit. Also, some footage of the Carter funeral. I'll comment a bit on that. Some interesting scenes taking place there. Very interesting. Also, testing the fog. All the fog, this dense fog that people have been talking about. I've talked about it. Other people talked about it on the channels and whatever and whatnot. But I had a subscriber and viewer send me an email with some information that in their neighborhood somebody did some sample testing of this fog. It's interesting. I'm going to share it here in a little while. Also, I have a terrific passage I'm going to share with you. This is from the Old Testament, and this passage has escaped me and just recently rediscovered it, and it's a really good piece. So stay tuned for that. You'll be glad you did. All right. Apocalyptic scenes out in on the West Coast. It's really something. Before I hit to that though, Jimmy Carter funeral. Jimmy Carter, rest in peace. He was a Georgia boy. I remember him way back. He was governor, of course, president. Uh, I think he was a good man from all appearances. I think the guy was a good man. Bad president, but a good man. Did a lot of good work after he was president. So rest in peace, sir. Now at the funeral, I saw there was some footage earlier I was watching a little bit where it showed some of the other presidents that are still living, gathering for his funeral. Interesting footage. It showed Obama and Trump sitting there, kind of talking back and forth a little bit and chuckling on something. You know, Obama was laughing at something that Trump said to him, and people are making a big deal out of it and all that. And then it showed Trump coming in, and Pence shook his hand. Now Pence's wife looked away and didn't look at him or Melania. Interesting. Who else was there? W. Bush was there. He looking old. I guess he is old now. I don't know. He looks a little rough, y'all. He looks rough. Who looks even more rough is Gore, Al Gore. I think that was Al Gore. I'm like, is that Al Gore? I mean, dang, he looks old. I guess that's been a while. I guess he is old. Who looks even worse than them is Hillary. That old hag, man, she looks bad. I mean, bad. They showed a close up too, and I'm like, whoa, whoa, turn away. Anyway, I had to say that. But anyway, watching this, and people are like, oh, they're looking like they're having a good time, and they're enemies and all. It made me think of the old, like the Godfather movies, to where the Don dies, and the other mafia bosses come and pay their respects, whatever. They come to the funeral, and they're talking with each other, and they're making deals, and they're laughing, and all, and they're enemies. They're either foes or friends. Many times they're enemies, and they're just talking. That's probably goes on in real life too. But it reminded me of a gathering of a bunch of mafia dons. I mean, really, think about it. A bunch of mafia dons, past, present. Oh, it showed Biden sleeping, of course. Jill was looking at him like she didn't even wake him up. She just was looking around like, I can't believe I can believe this, but I can't believe this. Anyway, it was some interesting footage there. Share your thoughts if you saw that. That was really interesting. Water, don't forget water. I saw some comments and some news about Richmond, Virginia. I think they've got their water services returned now, but with the storms coming and we're supposed to get snow, possibly ice here, and the winter storm, whatever storm it is, don't sleep on water. Water services, these things can just stop. I mean, we take it for granted that water comes out when we turn the faucet on. So look at that, your water storage, your filtration. Take another look at that because it's so important. People forget about that. Take it for granted. We take it for granted. A lot of us, well, a lot of people do. A lot of us don't. We're preparedness minded, right? Apocalyptic scene. This is an ongoing catastrophe out there on the West Coast. And somebody commented in yesterday's video, and they're right. One part of the country, one side of the country is on fire, and the other side of the country is freezing. If you think about it, that's largely true. Um, I saw where State Farm and other insurance companies have canceled a lot of homeowner insurances months before this happened. They terminated many policies. They did come back and say, especially State Farm, that they're going to keep these policies, but they kept out the fire uh, coverage, fire damages and coverages. They won't cover that. So a lot of these homes that are going up in ashes have no insurance coverage. I cannot imagine. I can't imagine having a multi-million-dollar home. Now, these people, depending on how rich they are, maybe it doesn't hurt them that much, but the everyday Joe and Jane, I cannot imagine. So insurance, I don't see how you can buy insurance out there. I really don't, even if it's available, even if you had the money to buy it. So that's interesting. This mayor cut fire department funding a while back too. Wow. Um, by $17 million, months before this fire. Makes you think. Also, water management is an issue. Fire uh, services management issues all over the place. You got weak, poor, woke leadership here that is not helping the situation. Now, how did this start? I don't. You hear all kinds of issues, all kinds of theories, from UFOs to the DEWs to arson. It could be just simply arson. It could be an accident. I mean, the way those winds blow, but then again, the way this thing lit up, very similar to Maui, and lit up so fast in these winds, these people didn't have time. A lot of times they had barely had time to get out of the house or the car with their clothes on their back, escaping for their lives. Last I heard, the death toll is 5. I can't imagine it not. I hope it stays that, but I can't imagine it staying that low. 0% containment, I believe, is still what they have. This keeps spreading. It's just something else. This is apocalyptic scenes. If you look at some coverage of this, just jaw dropping. It's something else. Nothing short of a catastrophe. Ongoing. Let's pray. Let's pray for California. Let's pray for those people. And people are like, well, it's California. Well, I mean, they're people. They're Americans. Let's look at it from a humanitarian, if nothing else, point of view. And those of us who are believers from a Christian point, I'm not wishing this on people. Um, California is a beautiful state, absolutely beautiful. I've always had a fascination with Southern California as well. And I've never visited. I do want to visit one day. That's on my on a wish list, is to get out there, and I would visit L.A., Los Angeles. I would visit, sure. But in the surrounding areas, I would definitely want to see that in person. All these years of watching movies and the old TV series, all these old shows that we watched back in the 70s, 80s, even 90s, were filmed out there. I mean, it's pretty cool. I mean, I'd like to see it. It's a beautiful state, no doubt about it. Let's pray again for the people, for intervention of God to bring an end to the winds, or at least lessen that wind and maybe some rain. Is this judgment? A lot of people are saying, is this judgment? It could be. It could be. That's very possible. I mean, who are we to say for sure? God is sovereign. He is. We can still pray for them. And I think we should. I know I am. I know we are. We are supposed to get freezing precipitation here. Now, they've been hyping this for 2 weeks here. Usually when that happens, especially in Georgia, North Georgia, not so much South Georgia, they rarely get it. Snow there would be very, very rare. But North Georgia, we get the hype. And whenever they hype it, I lower my expectations. I'm usually inclined to say we're getting nothing. When they don't warn us, when there's no hype, is when the stuff can happen. And that's usually when it happens, like the Snowmageddon. I think that was 2014. Yeah, that caught people by surprise. Caught everybody, just about everybody, by surprise. So that's the way it works in North Georgia. Probably similar in some states around us, but usually when they hype it up and talk like it's the end of days, weather coming, nothing really happens. I mean, we might get some cold rain. Then again, they're saying we could get ice. You know, a few days ago, yesterday, they were saying a lot of snow. Now they're saying an inch to 2 inches, maybe a little bit of ice. You know, you never know. But usually when they hype it up, there's nothing. That's just been my experience so far. Uh, but yeah, you know, the other side of the country, you got a raging inferno. I mean, that is hellish looking. I mean, it really is. That is just something. Testing the fog. I had a viewer send me an email. Now, this person lives in, I'll just say the southern part of Florida, and their neighbor, somebody in their neighborhood, took some samples, some testing of the fog, this dense fog, when it was very thick one day or one evening. I don't remember which, but they tested it and had some samples of this stuff taken. And it's interesting. I'm going to read a part of this. I saved it here. Samples taken. The test results indicate the fog contains, and I'm going to probably butcher this, Serratia, Serratia, and then the second word is Marcenus, Marcescens, bacterial, and the sample was collected January 1st, back on the 1st. Heavy fog glass container. Let's see. Bacteria are parasites. Chemical fog saturated with trillions of parasites. Now, I am not a scientist. I am not a bacteria expert. I don't. That doesn't sound good. That sounds bad. Now, if you have more knowledge on this, chime in the comments. I'm open, but you could probably take a sample of the air right here, and you'd probably have some bad stuff in it. I don't know, but that doesn't sound good. I can also, and I've heard from some of you the same thing I'm about to tell you. And there's some, I haven't, not so much here lately, but when I go out at night with the dogs and I let them do their business on this pitch dark, I will have a flashlight. When I shine that flashlight, and this is when it's not fog either, I shine that flashlight, and for the last year and a half, about the last year, off and on, not all the time, when I shine that light, it's like it's almost like a droplets of rain coming within the light, through the light that the flashlight is beaming out there. And I didn't notice. I have never noticed that before. People might say, it's all the time. No, it's not. And these droplets are very evident. I mean, just me looking at it. And I've wondered what that was. And I've heard from some of you the same exact thing. And you've said the same thing. You've only noticed it in the last year. I didn't notice that 2, 3 years ago. And I've done the same routine for 7 years. When I let the doggies out at night, usually around 10 p.m. or right before we go to bed, they do their business, and I have the flashlight beaming. Especially with Ella, her vision's not good, and especially I shine it on her, to help with her vision, but just to kind of look and see what's going on in the yard at night. I usually just see bunny rabbit. Other than my doggies, I usually just see some rabbits running around. It's kind of funny. But I've noticed those droplets, and it's thick. It's thick, y'all. And sometimes I've noticed the smell, like a chemical, almost like a chemical smell, almost like something's burning, but nothing's burning. There's no smoke. We're not near a plant. We're not near a manufacturing plant out here. No, we're more rural here. There's no bio lab or nothing, not that we know about, around here. So I don't know. What do y'all think? Share your thoughts. Are you seeing the same thing? Take your flashlight out and out at night in the dark and just see if you've experienced the same thing. Let us know. I'm going to go to a passage. Let's see. It is from Job. We're going to Job. I'm not sure if I've read from Job. I think I have, but not much. Job chapter 19. Now, many people are like, Job, oh man, put me to sleep, reading Job. But I tell you, if you really listen, there's some good stuff in there. There really is. This man went through so much. And then these three guys, supposedly his friends, come to comfort him. And they comforted him for a minute when they were silent and not talking. And then they started talking and insult and start to insinuate that it's his fault that he's had to go through all these troubles and he's endured all these things. But anyway, chapter 19, verse 21. And this is Job talking and responding to them. Have pity on me, my friends. Have pity, for the hand of God has struck me. Why do you pursue me as God does? Will you never get enough of my flesh? Oh, that my words were recorded, that they were written on a scroll, that they were inscribed with iron tool on, lead, or engraved in rock forever. I know that my Redeemer lives, and in the end he will stand upon the earth. I'm going to read that one verse again, verse 25. I know that my Redeemer lives, and that in the end he will stand upon the earth. This is written in the Old Testament, and Job, this is Job. Now, who's he talking about? Jesus, yes. And the really cool thing about it is he not only prophesies Jesus, not once, but really in more than one way. He's saying that his Redeemer lives, that Jesus is coming on the scene. Jesus is coming. But not only that, he's going to come again. My Redeemer lives, and in the end, he will stand upon the earth the second time when he comes back again. Did you catch that? Again, read it for yourself. Read that chapter. It's really cool. Job 19, chapter 19, and verse 21 through 25 is what I read. But I think that's just super cool, y'all. I mean, Mrs. Dawg and I are going through the Bible app, that Tara Lee Cobble, the Bible app, and you either read or you read several chapters a day. It leads you through it and everything, and then it gives a wrap up at the end. It's really good, and you really catch some things that you may have missed before. But let's be safe. Let's be careful out there. Share your thoughts on these things. Let's stay close to Jesus. We need to right now, don't we? We need to at all times, but let's stay close to him. God bless y'all. I'll see you soon.